Hi, and thank you for joining us today. I am Second Lieutenant Anthony Logrande,
And I'm Second Lieutenant Eli Harmon.
and we are admissions advisors at the Air Force Academy. We just graduated about a year ago, May 2018. We've been working at the Air Force Academy admissions office advising applicants on how to prepare and how to get accepted to the Air Force Academy. Today we're here to talk to you about the LEAD program. That's Leaders Encouraging Airmen Development.
So, the LEAD program was initiated by General Fogelman in 1995, and it delegates authority to unit commanders to nominate qualified airmen to compete for an appointment to the United States Air Force Academy or to attend the United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School with the intention of an academy appointment to follow. Commanders have the opportunity to identify outstanding and deserving airmen who are qualified to attend USAFA and who exhibit officer potential for this commissioning program.
So Eli was talking about qualified airmen. Let's talk a little about what it means to be qualified for this program. So appointments are available for you for direct entry into the Air Force Academy if you are an active duty airman who meet these entry criteria. These appointments are highly competitive. You must be a U.S. citizen or be able to obtain your citizenship before entering the academy. You must be unmarried. You must have no dependents. You must be a person of high moral character. You must be academically qualified. And you also must not have passed your 23rd birthday by the 1st of July of the year you'd enter the academy. This is actually a stipulation of Title 10, and there's unfortunately no waiver for this. Appointments are also available for direct entry to the Air Force Academy for Guard and Reserve Airmen. You must meet the same criteria as the active duty airmen. Guard and Reserve Airmen will be commissioned in the active duty Air Force upon graduating from the Air Force Academy. For entrance into the Air Force Academy Preparatory School, you must have not passed your 22nd birthday by 1 July of your entering year. Between 40 to 60 regular and reserve airmen attend the Air Force Academy Preparatory School on an annual basis. Airmen must meet the Enlisted Commissioning Program application eligibility requirements relating to LEAD LEAD program or applying to USAFA. Any waiver requests go through AFPC, not through USAFA admissions.
Okay, so the mission of the Air Force Academy is to educate, train, and inspire men and women to become officers of character, motivated to lead the United States Air Force in service in our nation. And we do that through a concept we call whole person development.
So the whole person development concept is basically 3 pillars based on a foundation of character and leadership, and those are academics, athletics, and military training. So this is kind of how we develop our cadets over the 4 years. Let's start a little bit with academics.
So on this slide, we have a list of all our different majors and minors. We have 27 different academic majors and 11 different minors. To be a pilot in the Air Force, you can do any academic major. And in fact, most jobs are independent of one's major. Up at the top of the slide, I want to take note of the 91.5 hours of core classes. And this is to develop well-rounded officers who are ready to commission and fight in airspace and cyberspace. And it allows cadets to also have a well-informed background prior to choosing a major, which you'll do prior to the first day of your junior year. So also, any major with a asterisk next to it is a minor, and philosophy is both a major and a minor.
Okay, so moving on to athletics here. We have 3 different athletic tiers basically at the academy. We've got our NCAA Division I, Go Air Force Falcons. We've got our clubs and we've got the intramurals. So basically our philosophy on athletics at the academy is, not every athlete is a cadet, but every cadet is an athlete.
And we test that statement through what we call the physical fitness test and the aerobic fitness test. The physical fitness test is a combined test. It includes a 600-meter dash, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and a standing broad jump. The aerobic fitness test is your Air Force standard mile-and-a-half run. And we test this to not only instill a lifelong sense of fitness, but also to prepare officers who are ready to lead their airmen in terms of physical development. And in addition to this, we also have reconditioning programs and cadets whose sole purpose is to help out anyone who is struggling with this aspect of cadet life.
Okay, so let's talk a little about the academy experience. What are going to be some unique aspects of you coming to the Air Force Academy? So going through the pictures here on the left, we have our honor code, we've got our military training, we've got our airmanship programs, and then our beautiful location in Colorado Springs. So let's start off with our honor code.
So the honor code is we will not lie, steal, or cheat, nor tolerate among us anyone who does. This is taken very seriously here, and it allows us as cadets to basically build a very strong sense of trust in one another. It's a baseline for how we conduct ourselves as not only cadets, but also as officers. It's practicing the way we play in the active duty.
Okay, let's talk a little about basic training here. For those of you who are looking to apply for this wouldn't be your first basic training. However, all entry cadets are required to participate in basic training. So this is where we turn our high schoolers into professional members of the Air Force, but it's also how we turn all of our applicants and all of our appointees into people ready to join the cadet wing. And so even the prior enlisted applicants from the LEAD program, there's a lot to learn, but more importantly, this is going to be a chance for you to lead your peers and a lot of the military competence stuff, and you'll definitely be looked up to a lot during basic training. So basic training is about 6 weeks during 2 3-week periods. So you see up here some of the different programs that we have during BCT, but in reality, breaking it down, it's about 3 weeks at the Air Force Academy in the dorms where you learn how to wear the uniform, the cadet uniform, basically some basic military knowledge, how to address your superiors, and how to kind of be a cadet in the Air Force Academy. And the second 3 weeks are in Jacks Valley, which is just next to the Air Force Academy campus. And you'll be living in tents, and you'll be doing a lot more of that physical stuff and building that warrior mentality. And yes, that does include stuff like weapons training, field courses, and obstacle courses. There's also a lot of early wake-ups, and there's going to be a lot of long runs. And it's definitely going to be physically challenging. It can be a little intimidating, but definitely completing basic training is within everyone's grasp, and it builds a lot of confidence, and you feel ready to join the cadet wing by the end of it.
Another aspect of the academy experience is our airmanship programs. So up top, we have our SOARID program. This program is the first chance for many, many people to learn the basics of flight. You have the opportunity to solo the aircraft, and it is also taught by cadets. So if it is something you really like, you have the opportunity to use USAFA as a leadership laboratory, step into those leadership roles, and teach other cadets how to fly. It's pretty cool. Next, we have our jump program. This program, we conduct 30 to 40 hours of ground training. It is the only jump school in the world where your first jump is free fall and solo. And again, it is also taught by cadets. It's a leadership laboratory. Finally, we have our powered flight program. This is taught by active and reserve Air Force pilots from all over the Air Force, all sorts of different airframes, and it must be taken as a prerequisite for you to become an active duty Air Force pilot. You also, in this program, have the opportunity to solo a trainer. These options are all optional. There's also a remotely piloted aircraft and cyber course you can take as an alternative.
So let's talk a little about the career fields available after graduating from the Air Force Academy. Career fields are based on the needs of the Air Force, right? And so while you see up here that about half of our graduates end up going to pilot training, understand that in reality, you're going to be filling the slots that the Air Force needs for its officer corps at the time. So graduates also have the opportunity to pursue grad school. It's very competitive, and it's fully funded by the Air Force. And sometimes it incurs a special service commitment, sometimes it does not. So the standard commitment for the Air Force Academy graduation is a 5-year commitment for your standard non-rated positions. There is more incurred if you accept a grad school opportunity in some cases, and then some special career fields we're going to talk about next.
Okay, so here is a list of the career opportunities you have upon graduation and commissioning from the Air Force Academy. In the leftmost column, these are career fields that are going to incur a longer active duty service commitment. And I want to point out that none of these are academic major specific. So you can major in anything and become one of these. For some career fields, it helps to have a pre-med background like doctor, dentist, lawyer. But the point is, for the majority of them, you can major in anything. In the center column, these are career fields that incur a 5-year active duty service commitment, and you can also major in just about any academic program here. On the right, these are majors that will also, or career fields, that will also incur a 5-year active duty service commitment, but you must major in that academic major to become a part of that career field. For example, you cannot become an Air Force chemist and major in English.
Okay, so let's talk a little about the application process here. It's a little bit more involved than most application process for colleges, and in reality, they all still apply for the LEAD program as well. So you must be academically competitive, physically qualified, medically qualified. You must demonstrate character and leadership, and you must also receive a nomination. The only special part about the nomination is that you will be filling out an Air Force Form 1786, which is a commander's nomination. So being academically competitive is very important. It's about 50% of your application, or how we measure applications, is your academics. We do take into account the maturity and experience that an airman brings to the academy and the prep school, but you simply cannot thrive at the academy without the basic academic knowledge and the skills required for success. You are encouraged to contact your local education office to sign up for the DANTES version of the ACT or SAT as soon as possible. There are several free prep websites also available. I highly recommend you contact your education office, do some internet research, and start preparing standardized tests. Make sure you can get a hold of your transcripts and your grades, etc.
Okay, so to become medically qualified and physically competitive, you have to complete a candidate fitness assessment and a Department of Defense Medical Evaluation Review Board, or DODMERB, exam. So the CFA, the candidate fitness assessment, you can find it online. It is also in the candidate handbook once you begin the admissions process, and we also have a YouTube video. Our recommendation for this is to practice early. It's not a pop quiz. You know it's going to be on it. Practice it entirely, not just one single component, and try to complete it before any injury-prone training or activities like that. For medical questions, I want to highlight that this exam, you can't just go to your PCM at your local base. It is completed through a bunch of contracted medical providers across the country and is completely separate from your base's medical facilities. For any medical questions, please contact Mr. Larry Mullen. His email is right there. Bottom line is, don't self-eliminate based on any prior medical history, and the DODMERB exam opens up to you after you've completed 3 items on the checklist in your application. So be proactive, start it early.
Okay, let's talk a little about character and leadership. So it's going to be a little bit unique for the enlisted applicants. Obviously, you will have had some very real leadership and work experience programs, but still your high school programs will be relevant. These are some common programs that we have here. However, it's not an all-inclusive list, nor is it a recommendation that you have participated in these programs. Obviously, from the enlisted point of view, your extracurricular activities, your work experience, your life experience, your community involvement, and then any kind of distinguished graduate or honor graduate distinctions that you've had will be important. So this is your opportunity to tell us who you are and what you're passionate about. The programs you're involved with at your base are important, extracurricular activities that you participated in, etc. The admissions would like to know what operational Air Force experience you have obtained, what leadership qualities you possess, and any deployments that you've served. Airmen have more experience, and we want to ensure that you can lead your peers as well as follow them. Ensure you mention the above to your admissions liaison officer and use those experiences in your essay and resume. Additionally, you should take some college courses to make up for any time out of school and improve your overall academic record. It's definitely not a requirement. If you feel that you may be lacking in that area, I would highly recommend it. Any kind of academic enrichment that you do outside of high school is going to help you. College math and science courses are especially well received.
Okay, so the preparatory programs. Here on base, we have what is called the Air Force Academy Preparatory School, and we also have a number of schools around the country that you can go to. So you cannot apply directly for these preparatory programs, but you're automatically considered once you apply for an appointment to the Air Force Academy. Around 70% of our enlisted applicants who are accepted are selected to attend the preparatory school first. 80% of the prep school students continue on to the academy. 20% choose to leave as it is not a fit for them. And the USAFA Prep School mirrors 4 years at the Air Force Academy. It is a full scholarship. It is located on the academy. There are opportunities for athletic and military improvement, but the focus is on your academics.
Okay, so let's talk a little about getting started. This is definitely a very important slide. If I impart anything upon you today, I definitely want to drive this point home. But to get started, you're going to want to visit academyadmissions.com. That's your one-stop shop for any questions you have and any information on how to apply and how to prepare. You're going to start your online application there. So you're going to fill out the pre-candidate questionnaire, but you must also at the same time initiate your Air Force Form 1786. Both of those are required concurrently to consider you a candidate. So the sooner you knock out both of them, the better. So leadership must support your decision to apply for USAFA, and they must endorse you with that 1786. I highly also recommend that you follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We'll post some tips every now and then. We're accessible. We answer questions in DMs, and we do post some cool pictures of what's going on at the Air Force Academy. Again, academyadmissions.com is going to be a one-stop shop for all that information.
Okay, now let's talk about nominations. So, lead applicants are encouraged to also apply for other nomination sources aside from your Form 1786. The Form 1786 is mandatory because that requires your commander's approval for your application to the program. However, apply to every single nomination source. You have 2 U.S. senators, you have a representative in Congress, you also have the vice president. These applications are concurrent to the academy application. So, again, my advice is to start early, look up the deadlines, and apply to all available sources.
Okay, so let's move on to some of the timeline of your application and things that you must accomplish. So we've already mentioned a few of these, but that pre-candidate questionnaire that I mentioned is due by 31 December of the year you're applying. That's all self-reported, but it basically, we're trying to see if you're meeting the guidelines, academic, extracurricular, and etc. For the Form 1786, that's due by 31 January of the year you're applying. However, I recommend you get the ball rolling on that as soon as possible, especially since you're going to have to pass that up the chain and have it signed by your squadron commander. The commander must include a letter of endorsement with the Form 1786. And again, that is the first thing that must happen to get your application rolling. So if this is something you're interested in, I highly encourage that you get that endorsement as soon as possible.
Here is a list of everything that you will complete in your application, what we call the candidate kit. So, the Dodmer medical exam, big part of your application. It's going to take a while, start early. The candidate fitness assessment, it is different from the Air Force fitness test. You have to do pull-ups, you have to do some other stuff. So, start early, practice, get your pull-ups up, all that. The admissions liaison officer interview, you're going to do an interview with a active duty, reserve, or guard, or even the civilian retired Air Force officer. To get that done, you need an official copy of your high school and any college transcripts you may have, standardized test scores, ACT, SAT. Again, it's that DANTES version. You're going to provide a couple records of information, personal data, activities. That's where you're going to highlight your extracurricular involvement, any deployments, stuff like that. You're going to provide a writing sample, a drug and alcohol abuse certificate, and again, another letter of recommendation from your commander, first shirt, supervisor, and one other military officer.
Okay, so again, with that timeline, 1 March of the year prior to your entry to USAFA is when your application will open. 31 December is when you must submit the pre-candidate questionnaire, and by the end of January of that year, you must have completed your 1786. Again, those are absolute latest. You should definitely submit those well in advance of those deadlines. And as you know, having been in the Air Force, that if something can go wrong with getting an application in or getting something, it will go wrong. So the earlier you can do it, the better. The entire candidate application must be completed by 31 January, and no later than late April is when you'd be notified of your admission status, and that's usually to include acceptance, denial, or preparatory school. You must accept or decline your offer by May. Please remember that it's your responsibility to stay on time for all of these. Late documents can affect your application, and they may not be accepted, so it's very important they stay at least on time, but I recommend very early with all of these deadlines.
Okay, this is a little recap of what this commissioning program offers. So, no tuition costs, medical and dental coverage under TRICARE, no room and board costs. You get paid to go to school with a monthly stipend, and you have a guaranteed career as an officer and a leader in our Air Force. And for me, that is why I came to the Air Force Academy.
Okay, so with that, I'd really like to thank you all for your time. I'm very grateful that you were looking at the Air Force Academy, because I have to say, looking back, my prior enlisted classmates were a very positive experience for me, and definitely a lot of enriching exposure and guidance from them. And you will definitely benefit from the Air Force Academy. It's fantastic opportunities, as much as the Air Force Academy will benefit from you being there. So I highly encourage you to look into this program. With that, we're going to open up for questions. We're going to leave this information up here. I highly encourage you to visit academyadmissions.com. If you have any questions, please reach out to us via the lead email or that number you see up there on the screen. So at this point, we're going to open it up for questions.